There are some products that Google just doesn't let you advertise. I'm going to walk you through some of the categories and also some of the nuances that pertain to those categories in this video. And really important distinction too, we're talking about the ads side of Google. So Google Organic, the normal 10 blue links that might show up on Google, that's different. You can go through and purchase things like guns, for example, through Google Organic results, but you can't advertise them through Google Ads. And for context, my name is John. I'm the CEO of StubGroup, and we are a Google Premier Partner and the #1 resource in the world for fixing Google suspensions and policy violations. So let's dig into what are the products you can advertise with Google. First category is explosives, things that go boom. Google does not like that, and so that is a category that you just can't run Google ads for. After explosives, we have guns, gun parts, and related products. And this includes things you might not even expect, things like airsoft and paintball guns. Google does not allow you to advertise through Google Ads. Now, there are some nuances here when you kind of get into the toy space of what Google will or won't let you get away with. And there's some inconsistencies that we often see with Google as well. So, if you're selling kind of toys that maybe look like guns or in that space, there may be some approaches you can take to still abide with Google's policies. But generally speaking, anything gun related, except for things that improve the safety of guns, like safes and locks and things like that, are not allowed. However, also, when you are selling something that is like a safe or a lock that does technically fall within Google's exceptions to that policy, there's still a high likelihood that you're going to get flagged by Google just for having words like gun, for example, in your product listing or in your ad. And so you've got to be really careful about what language you use there. Similarly, if you have words like that on your page that might describe something completely different, if you have a Caulk gun, for example, it's obviously not a projectile firing weapon, but you may still get flagged by Google's automated systems for that word. So you got to watch out for things like that. Other weapons are also banned by Google. There is some nuance here. So other weapons would include things like, a sword, a tomahawk, things like that. But there are some carved out exceptions. So for example, you can sell ceremonial swords, or I should say you can advertise ceremonial swords. We have a client who sells ceremonial swords through their website, but you have to be really, really careful about the language that you use, again, and having really specific disclaimers on your website about these swords, why they're not weapons, why they're not sharpened, things like that. And there's exact terminology that we've gotten from Google to get over policy issues in that space. Other things you can't sell, recreational drugs. Google does not allow that as a category. And speaking of that kind of pharmaceutical space, not that recreational drugs are necessarily pharmaceuticals, but in the health and kind of supplement ingestible space, Google has a list of specific products that you cannot advertise. We'll include a link to that in the description for this video, but it's important to note this is not an exhaustive list. So Google has tons and tons of products. They basically think of it as like a list of keywords on their end that they're looking for on a website, that they're crawling supplement websites, pharmaceutical websites, and if they see those, that's going to create a problem because they do not allow the advertising of those products. And because Google does not have an exhaustive list of that, we sometimes have to work directly with Google to figure out and really push and prod and be persistent to get information about why they are saying there's a problem with a particular product or website. Because we might go through that list that they've published and say, hey, none of these things are on the website, but Google is still flagging you for prohibited products. And so we've got to go through that and figure out exactly what ingredient or maybe product name or brand name is a problem on a given website. So that's a general kind of list of categories. I'd also throw consumery advisories in there. So if there's a consumery advisory about a specific product and Google's flagging that, they may flag you because they don't want you selling that product. And if you're being flagged by this policy and you need help figuring out what's going on, two options. First of all, we've got links to free information in the description below that can help you figure out different issues with what might be going on in your ad account. And two, if you want to get this right, if you want to work with the experts who know exactly what we're doing to fix your policy issues with Google, StubGroup is here to help. So reach out through our website, stubgroup.com, and let's get you back online with Google.